Hello everybody, this is my attempt to give you an introductory video to Unit 3, answer some questions about the remaining assignments, just kind of walk you through things like I normally would in class. So we're going to go to our course, and I'm going to go to English 101 Online, and in the Unit 3, you'll see where I'm posting this new video, one with actual sound, and you got the two folders. Hopefully you're already working in this one. And this week you're basically, or these 2 weeks, you're doing journals, exact same journal assignment you've done all semester. This unit, I encourage you to actually focus on argument. So look at the issues that come up in the articles. What do the authors say? What do they talk about? What problems do they discuss? What are the reasons for those problems? And do you agree? Do you disagree? You've been able to do that in all of the journals. You don't have to do that in this one. You can analyze articles. I think that's still always good if you critique their points. But ultimately, you're going to be making an argument about an issue. So focusing on the issues in the article would be a good thing to do to help you brainstorm. It's kind of like in Unit 2, I said, should players who use steroids be allowed in the Hall of Fame? And you'd say yes or no. And I'd say, I don't care. This unit, I care. I want to know what you think about the issues. So journals are the exact same. I did not ever, for Unit 3, I've never come up with guided reading questions for Unit 3 because my questions for pretty much every article would be, do you agree? Do you disagree? What does the author say that you agree with? What other points could you bring up? What does the author say that you disagree with? So keep that stuff in mind. Definitely obviously read the essay 3 prompt before you start the journals, because normally journaling is a part of brainstorming for articles, but for this paper especially, because for essay 3 you need to actually cite 2 of the articles I use. So I'm going into the essay 3 prompt. You're going to write a 5 to 8 page essay that addresses the research questions below. Research questions should look familiar. What are the problems with higher education? Who's to blame? Teachers, students, both? What are some possible solutions? And know that you don't just answer these questions. These are guiding questions. Whenever you start a research paper, you want to start with questions. Normally, actually, if I'm in class and I'm going over examples, I would say 3 questions probably isn't enough. I should keep rambling. What other questions come to mind? Spend 5 minutes just thinking of questions about the topic. Again, that's not so that you can answer every single one of those, but you want to go into research as if it's a search. You're looking for answers. You're not going in with a preconceived idea that this is exactly what I think and this is the only right answer, therefore this is the only aspect I'm going to look for information on. You might have an idea already, and that's fine. You don't have to ever change your idea, but you should always fairly look for information. And as new information comes up, you might have to change kind of the way that you were thinking your paper might originally go. You want your essay, you want a research essay, always to be based on the best information. So the brainstorming with questions will give you maybe some more avenues to go down, some ways to think about the topic that you might not have thought about, different things to consider looking at when you're doing research. And the requirements include at least 2 in-text citations from the articles posted for Unit 3 journals. You'll have probably noticed that all of the articles relate to some aspect of education. So there's plenty of ideas out there. You've got to find quotes or paraphrases or summaries of 2 of those articles to work into a paper. And then you also need to get citations of at least 3 articles that you find in the school's online library databases, not just ones I have posted for you. And there's an explanation for how to do that in the second week's folders. So your works cited page needs a minimum of 5 sources, 2 from me, 5 from you. I go through the process here. Structure is the same. You're going to have an introductory paragraph that starts broad and works towards specific. Body paragraphs start with a clear topic sentence. You set the context of a quote. You lead into it smoothly. You cite it. You explain it. And then you wrap up with a summative concluding sentence. And then finally a concluding paragraph. Use this checklist here. It's same as always, little things to look for. But really the paper itself doesn't change. Structure of an academic essay is the same. What might scare you with this one is that it's 5 to 8 pages, but honestly, I personally think this is one of the easiest essays to write, despite the maybe scary seeming length. You've probably written a research essay in high school before, so you're probably more familiar with this certainly than an analytical essay. And what's nice with a research essay is if you keep writing and you're only at 4 pages, you don't even have to necessarily come up with that many new ideas. It's not about coming up with something totally new. Sometimes it's about doing more research. You're supposed to go and get ideas from somewhere else. That's why I want to come back to this real quick. I say two in-text citations. In-text citations can be a quotation, a paraphrase, or a summary. So you don't have to just read articles and look for that one perfect quote that you want to cite, that you want to pull out and say, this is it, this is all I'm taking from this article. Maybe an article has a lot of great points and it really supports one of your building blocks for your paragraph. Awesome. Summarize the article. In the article, blah, 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 by so and so, it says this, it says this, it says this, and explain why that supports your point. That's going to be that's the logos you read. That's the hard evidence. Maybe authors did studies or took surveys, and it's stuff that you're not expected to do, but you're using their logos. Even if there aren't hard studies, you're gaining ethos by citing credible sources. So that's the whole point of incorporating research into your ideas. When including summaries or paraphrases, make sure you start with a signal phrase, something that indicates that you're shifting from your ideas to the author's ideas, and make sure you end with a parenthetical citation. That way I know exactly where you started taking author's ideas and where you stopped taking author's ideas, because if you don't do that, you risk one, being unclear, and two, plagiarizing, maybe unintentionally. Because it's easier if you take a direct quote. Obviously, I see exactly where you started taking words from the author and where you stopped taking words from the author. So that's the paper in a nutshell. Let me add one other thing open. I have in this next folder the writing process for the paper, how to go through some quick brainstorming, how to make a quick outline, draft, proofread, revise, and you're done. So this kind of walks you through the steps. Again, in terms of writing a paper, it's nothing new. For the journals, it's nothing new for this first folder. You should go through the arguments PowerPoint so you can see the different parts of an argument. A lot of them we've talked about when we critiqued articles. I mean, figure every article we've read is in some way an argument. The author's trying to make a point. They don't always follow, actually, they probably never follow academic structure exactly with, our broad specific intro and a thesis right at the beginning. But still, we're looking for the components. We've been looking at the articles and looking at the components that they use to make good or poor arguments. And that's why we did the analytical unit second, is so that you can see what makes something a strong argument, what makes something a weak argument, because now it's your turn to make an argument. So to sum up for this, journals, exact same. You can make personal connections. You can write reactions. You can analyze. I encourage you to try to engage with the issues the author's talking about, and really, really look at the arguments and whether or not you agree. As you're doing that, try to think of what aspects of higher education, the topic and issues, what's wrong with it. What aspects of that interest you most? Is it the financial aspect? Is it the student preparedness? Is it something teachers can do? Is it the way the overall college structure is set up? Is it, I don't know, any number of things that come up in the article, in the articles, and use that to help you start to think where you want to go with the paper. And then after you finish your journals, which I encourage you to do sooner rather than later, you can get started on the final paper. That research, the process PowerPoint is in here. The research process, so this tells you, this is the one that will tell you how to go through and find articles for your actual, for your paper that you need to find. This library research tool, maybe I'll click on this real quick, show you some more stuff. I'll go back to that in a second. That's a walkthrough. Normally we would spend, if it's in a ground class, we'd spend a day in the library with a librarian. She'd go through this and teach us how to use the library website. Well, you guys get to go through it on your own. It's a pretty easily set up, intuitive website and tutorial, so you can go through that and check things out. I'll give you a quick highlight of it. In here, other helpful materials. If we continued this in a ground class, you would have had stage 1 to do. This is basically a cover sheet for your articles. In a normal ground class, students get to write the research paper on whatever topic they want, and then they have a separate final exam, and that final exam asks them to write an in-class research essay based on, I give 4 articles, and students have to quote 2 out of the 4 in a research handwritten in-class essay, what's wrong with higher education. So since we're not having a final exam, I combined the final exam with the research paper, and unfortunately, you don't get a choice for your research paper, but we are smushing two assignments into one. Anyway, so this stage one it would be like a cover sheet. So let's say I'm doing research and I find 6 different articles I like. I print them all out and they're sitting on my desk for a couple weeks, and then I'm going to write my paper and I go, crap, where was that article that said this really great thing? I remember it was about blah blah blah. Which article? I got to go through and turn all my pages of my 6 different articles. If I fill out this, it's like a cover sheet. I put it on top. It's got the title, the author. I put a quick summary of each article. I put a quick analysis of each article. I pick out quotes that might be good. And then I'm looking at my desk at my 6 articles and I go, oh, okay, this article is this article is this article is this. And it's a way to stay organized. So that might be helpful for you to do, not required. Stage two is an outline. This is the only paper I normally require an outline for when students are doing a paper on their own topic. So might give you some pointers. You have a sample outline in that PowerPoint though. In class, we would have taken a works cited quiz, all about MLA. You can find any questions you have about citing. Here's what I would say in class. Here's what I'll still say online. Look it up. If you're not sure how to cite something, that is where the little seal book that some people may not have opened is the most useful. Go to the section on MLA style. The section on research starts on page 90, and MLA style starts on 119. The reason I answer the question, if you ask me, hey, how do I cite a website? Look it up. Because I don't know. I don't have all of these. There's, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 different ways to cite different things. There's no way I'm wasting the time having each and every period and comma and how the citation goes. I'm not wasting time having that in my brain, not wasting the space, because I can look it up. So the answer is go through, take some time to look it up. Another great citation website is OWL at Purdue, OWL. So if you Google Purdue OWL, that's a really reliable site to get citation questions. But you do want to take the time to do that right, because you want to make sure your works cited page is right and your in-text citations are right. So this works cited quiz can point you to some kind of the key issues, and it's got the answers filled out. So it's more like notes now than a quiz. 2 sample papers from previous classes, not on this topic, and a research paper checklist. You can go through and check things off. So this is the useful folder that I encourage you to use. Again, all I can do is provide you with the resources and hope you use them. All right, quickly going back to this research library tutorial, choosing a topic. You have a topic already. I'm going to go to finding information, and hopefully it will load quickly. And secondary, when to use books, finding articles. Oh, would you like to remember where you left off? No. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to go through this tutorial. I'm now realizing I'm just going to go. You should go through the go through the tutorial. It's helpful. But I'm going to go to the library's main page, which I'll start at our home page. If I'm at our home page, library right here. Scroll down, databases, find articles. And these databases are essentially like search engines. Any one of them is fine. I prefer Google over Yahoo. I prefer EBSCO over Academic One File. Why? I don't know. I just like that one. That's the one I use. So I'd go in here. And if you are logging in from off campus, sometimes you might have to log into MyComNet first. If you do it through MyComNet, which is I think how I tell you to do it in the PowerPoint, once you're into MyComNet, you would go up to My Library Info, Middlesex Library, and find articles, and that's going to take you to the same place that I'm on my other tab. Find articles, general databases, all subjects. And here we go. Another good one is opposing viewpoints in context. You can find some good articles in opposing viewpoints in context. It tends to give you articles that are pretty easy to read, pretty straightforward. So that can be a good place to start. So I recommend opposing viewpoints or EBSCO, and whether you go through this way or that way, either one. And then once I'm in, I'm going to search. Type in my search terms. If things don't come up right away, then try different search terms. Try different combinations of words. Think of Think of synonyms that you might use for words. It's called research for a reason. You have to search, and you might have to search again. So don't give up after one search, and be using these databases, not Wikipedia, or you can use Google Scholar, but not just Google or stuff like that. Try these databases. Although I am fine with popular magazines, Time, Newsweek. I'm fine with newspapers, Washington Post, New York Times, stuff like that. But really give these databases a shot. All right, I think that about covers it. So journals, really nothing new. Paper, don't panic. You're incorporating research. I already did some of the research for you. You're using two of my articles. You're finding a couple on your own, and it's a matter of finding a whole bunch of ideas and presenting a good, strong argument about whatever it is whatever issue you're gonna choose. I will encourage you in the paper. Strive for depth, not breadth. Um, Depth is looking at one issue and going as deeply as you can, where breadth would be looking superficially at a whole bunch of different things. So I don't want your thesis to be like, the problems with higher education are it's too expensive, and teachers are too hard, and students don't care, and parents, I don't know what the hell parents do, but that would be looking at like 4 or 5 pretty different issues, which means you're going to only scratch the surface on each one. Try to go into more depth on one issue. I just heard this beep. I hope it's still recording. And it's 16 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up there. Hope it's helpful. If you have any other questions, ask on the course questions discussion board. And yeah, don't panic. 2 assignments left, journal and this paper. Get started on this paper sooner rather than later, and good luck.